morning, Sonder fam. Welcome to our Saturday morning weekly setup. My name is Bailey Grady, and I will be your facilitator today. I am calling in from Hendersonville, Tennessee, which is just north of Nashville. And the way that I am set up today, you would think I was more like in Colorado where Maya is. Which Maya's here in the chat as our stage manager today. So she's also here with us. She'll be hanging out in the chat to help out. But I was telling Maya before the social, we're at that point in Tennessee now where, it's like getting chilly in the mornings. And I said it was cold, but it really isn't cold yet. It just feels cold because it has been like warm. And so I'm getting to that point where it's like, oh my gosh, it's it's chilly. I don't want to get out of the bed. And the cats are like, yes, yes, don't get out of the bed, stay in the bed. So I had to kind of bundle up to make myself get out of the bed today. So we've got all the cozy vibes going on. So if that's you too, and you're in your cozy, comfy clothes, welcome. If this is your first social or it's been a while, just a reminder, you don't have to worry about if your camera is on or off or if you're muted or not. I'll be the only one up on camera. So you can come in whatever outfit you want. You could be in a comfy, cozy Christmas sweater, even though it's October, and nobody will know. So feel free to come exactly as you are and take whatever you need. As we go through today, the way that you're going to connect with our amazing community here is through the chat. So make sure that you have your chat box set to everyone. There should be like a little blue box kind of near where you type. And you're going to want to make sure that that is set to everyone. A lot of the times it will default to like host and panelists. And if it is at host and panelists, not everybody will see what you have to say. And one of the best parts about coming to Sonder Socials is that you do get that time with your fellow Sonder fam to kind of be in community and spend some time with one another. So make sure that you have that chat set to everyone. And then another reminder, just as we go through, there will be lots of examples and tips and tricks and things up on the screen. Feel free to take screenshots or snap photos of anything that really speaks to you that maybe you want to refer back to later. And then also, if you feel comfortable taking pictures of your journal, once you get it all set up, we would love to see it either in Sonder Club in the app, or you can always tag us on the socials. We will run through our community guidelines real quick here. First, please be kind and courteous to yourself and to others. 2, no promotions or spam, please. 3, we're going to respect everyone's privacy. What happens in Sonder Club stays in Sonder Club, and it's the same for our socials. And then no hate speech or bullying, please. Limit repetitive product and accessory questions. We definitely don't mind some chatter around like pens and stickers and things like that. You'll see when we get into the setup that I am now officially a sticker girly. I use my stickers in my setup every week. So we definitely don't mind some chatter around that, but we do want to make sure you have enough time to get through the task at hand. And then anything that myself or Maya are not able to assist with, we'll direct you over to the headquarters team at hello@silkandsonder.com. They are small but mighty, and they are Monday through Friday, so just give them a few days to get back to you. Excuse me. And then finally, Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, but you are responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So that just goes back to what we were saying before of come as you are and take what you need. So if you need to kind of just hang out and be in community and just be in the chat today, do that. If you need just time to yourself to focus on the pages in your journal and get things done, and you're not in the mood to chat this morning, that is also fine too. Do some of both, or do neither. Like we have people that come and they just kind of hang out and kind of let this be their time with themselves, and they may even work on something completely different than what we're doing right now, but this is sort of like a page holder for them, a placeholder to book that time with themselves. So it doesn't hurt our feelings. We're here to do a weekly setup, but whatever you need this time to be for yourself, we want you to take that time for you. So we will do our opportunity mind map, and then we will do a rosebud thorn exercise thinking about last week before we start thinking about what we need for next week. And then we will set up those weekly pages. So as you all know by now, Opportunity is our theme this month, and I love alliteration, so October Opportunity is super fun. But it's also just a great monthly theme in general for those of us that are Sonder fan members and participate in Silk and Sonder because really this idea of opportunity is woven throughout our journal each week, each month, each day, because there's so many opportunities for kind of like a fresh start, right? And that's what happens each week in our weekly setups is like we're going to take that time to reflect on last week, but then we have the opportunity to start anew with the week ahead. And the other reason it's a great theme for us Silk and Sonder fam is that a lot of times when we think about the word opportunity, we think about big things, right? Somebody will say, "Oh, what an amazing opportunity." And it's something to do with like career or like moving or entering a new stage of life or a new season of life, right? It always seems like opportunity is tied to really big things. But that's not necessarily true. If we look on, I think it's page 2 or 3 of the journal here, I keep flipping back to it. I need one of those little like bookmark tabs. But if you flip to page 3, the definition of opportunity is just a set of circumstances that makes it possible to do something. That's it. That's all. That's the whole definition. So opportunity can really be in the small things. And that's where sometimes there's the most power because when you take the opportunity to look at those smaller things and build habits and make those changes, that's what leads to bigger changes and goals and things over time, right? So if it's helpful for you to think about opportunity as possibility, do that. Because as we're setting up our weekly setup this week, you have tons of small opportunities of how you want to feel, how you want to focus on your goals and your habits. What does your week look like, right? There's all kinds of little moments for opportunity woven all throughout what we're going to do today. And there always is in the journal. So it's just the perfect theme. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our opportunity mind map. So each week in our weekly setups, we have a prompt that is specific to the weekly setup and our theme at hand. So this is not an activity that you're going to find pre-printed in the journal or anything. You'll have to flip to a blank page or space in your journal to be able to write about this. But this week, we are going to think about creative opportunity. So the prompt is, imagine you have complete creative freedom and resources to work on a passion project. What would you create and why? How does this project reflect your deepest values and interests? And how do you envision sharing it with the world? So no restraints, right? We're in a magical world where you have all the time, all the resources, all the money, whatever the things are to make this happen. What does your passion project look like? Why? How does it connect back to your values? And how do you envision sharing it with the world? So I was telling Maya earlier that this is one of those that I really struggled to get started with. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't like automatically have a passion project right off the top of my head. Like, I don't know what I'm going to write for this. And then once I actually started writing, it was like I didn't have enough room. I started thinking about all kinds of things and ways to connect it back and different things. But essentially, what I said that I would like to do is create some sort of organization that really focused on getting therapy in the hands of more people in a free and really accessible way, which would also include like training programs to help more people become therapists or counselors because people are not one size fits all, and neither is mental health. And so just giving more people the opportunity to be in those roles that maybe wouldn't envision themselves in those roles due to like circumstances or background or experience or whatever. And then it would be super awesome if there was some sort of element around like also being able to save all the like doggies and kitties. So I don't know if it's like, oh, for your initial like intake with the therapist, maybe there are some locations where you can like pet a cat while you talk to your therapist for the first time or snuggle with a puppy, and then that cat and puppy is also adoptable and it gives them a safe place and a safe home, while also giving people a place to come and physically connect and hopefully to like de-stress people a little bit, right? Because animals can help with that. So like I said, it kind of like started off as like, I don't know, like therapy is really important to me. I think everybody should have access to it. I really think that if people are able to open up and check in, it can change the world and it can change lives and all of that good stuff, right? So I just kind of started there and then it just kept running and running. And my thoughts were like, oh, yeah, and you could do this and you could do that. And this would be fun. And you could connect it here. And oh, you love animals. What about that? Can we put that in there somewhere? So Maya made the point of like, yeah, maybe it's good to think about what you're passionate about or what's really important to you first, right? Think about those values that you have and think about, is there some sort of a need? Is there a passion project that, again, no rules, no restrictions, right? We're living in a magical place where there's an open checkbook. You have all the time in the world. What would you do and what would that look like? So I will hop between these slides here for you. Um, Please, if you feel comfortable, share in the chat with us what you're writing about, what's coming up for you. Who knows, what if you have a similar passion project with somebody here and what if you end up connecting and like years down the road, somehow it ends up happening. Like you just never know where life is going to take you. So I'll put on some music for you all to think about this prompt and then we'll move into our next activity. Thank you all for spending a few moments with this prompt. If you're not done, it's totally fine, and I completely get it. Because, like I said, I had to kind of just get started with this one, and then it started, making all the juices flow and everything. So you can continue to work on it as we go through, or even after the social. You do not have to never come back to it again just because we are moving on. But we are going to go ahead and move on over to our rosebud thorn activity. So this appears in your journal each week, and this week's rosebud thorn is on page 44. But you can really do this exercise anytime. It can be a really good way to kind of just reflect and think about things with some balance. So a rose is something that went well in the last week, a highlight, maybe something that made you smile or something positive that happened. A bud, thinking about the last 7 days, is maybe what has been on your mind for things that could, change or bloom or come to fruition, something that gives you hope, motivation, and inspiration. And then a thorn is something that maybe hasn't gone well in the last 7 days, something that's challenging or stressful, kind of the opposite of your rose, right? And there are some weeks where it's harder than others to think about these. But just keep in mind that like your rosebud and thorns do not have to be complicated, right? They can be really simple things. Sometimes a rose is just that it's the start of a new week. Sometimes a bud can be the start of the new week ahead too, as well. So I had a little trouble thinking about this today, but then it started coming to me as usual. Maybe I just have some brain fog this morning, but I always like to do mine in reverse. So my thorn is just kind of work stuff, like nothing super major, just, people in some cases like not following through with their commitments and having like some coworkers that are going through tough things. And I'm a very empathetic person. And so sometimes I struggle between being there for people without taking on their emotions. And so when they're going through hard things, I have to remind myself that it's their hard thing and not my hard thing. And then for a bud, most of you know my husband was laid off about a month ago. So he's been looking for new opportunities and he has a second interview next week for one of those opportunities. So fingers crossed that that goes well. It seems like it would be a great opportunity and it would be really convenient because my office is moving and the place that we are moving to is in the same building as this. So we could probably carpool together, which would be really nice. And then my rose is that even though I complained about it being kind of colder this morning, being hard to get out of bed, I am happy that sweater weather is here. Because it just makes it super easy to like get dressed in the morning because it's like, oh yes, a cozy sweater always sounds good, and I can just throw it on and go. So that is my rose, is that the sweater weather is here. So I'll put on some music for you to think about your rosebud and thorn. Please share with us in the chat what's coming up for you so that we can be there to celebrate those roses with you. And we can also be there to hold space and support you with those thorns. thank you all for taking a moment to think about your rosebud thorn for last week. If you're still typing out, please continue to do so as we get ready to move into our weekly setup. This is one of my favorite parts about the weekly setup because it really gives us some insight into what's going on in each other's lives in like a really quick, like bite-sized way. And, we really have this time to spend time in our journals, of course, but also to connect with one another, and it's really kind of nice to get those little snippets of what is going on. So thank you all for thinking about this and for sharing. We are now going to move into our main event today, which is our weekly planner. So getting set up for the week ahead. So again, or not again, rather, but if you are not familiar with the weekly setup, we're going to go through each one of these sections. Those are just my pages there together. But we'll go through each one of these sections together. There'll be some tips and tricks and ideas up on the screen and also in the chat, I am sure. If you're stuck on anything, please let us know because you have a great group of people that can give you lots of ideas and be here to support you if needed. But we're going to go ahead and start with the This Week I Want to Feel. So that's going to be in the top right of page 40. So not page 40. Y'all, me and these pages today, we're in a fight. Page 46. So this week, you want to feel what? Thinking about the week ahead, what's going on. And I'll be honest, sometimes I fill this out last. I had to fill this out this week last because I had to kind of get everything else out on the page first to figure out how I wanted to feel as I moved through the week. And my word for the year is embrace. So I have kind of been changing this to this week. I want to embrace throughout the year this year to kind of keep that like grounding close. So this week, I want to embrace me, just me, myself, listening to my needs, making time for myself, looking at the week ahead, and just kind of like the week I had last week felt very like, so I just want to make sure that I'm checking in with myself and giving myself what I need. But there's lots of good ideas up there on the screen in the word cloud. And then we have some really great examples from all of you, from Sonder Club, from those that have shared. So I will put on a quick song for you to think about how you would like to feel as we get ready to move into the week ahead. Please share if you feel comfortable. Okay, if it hasn't come to you yet, don't panic. It will come to you as you move through. But we are going to go ahead and move down to the center of the page, looking at our weekly to-dos and the weekly major three. So I combine these two in my setups because I have noticed that a lot of people in Sonder Club kind of combine them together. And after weeks and weeks and weeks of saying that I was going to try it, I think I finally have committed to combining these together myself. So I still use the little calendar at the top of the to-dos to kind of figure out what my schedule is for the week, and I will list out like the appointments and things that I have like that. But now I changed my weekly major three to the weekly affirmations that I get from the Life Coach app through Silk and Sonder. And that kind of helps to set my intentions for the week. So I will write down my weekly affirmations and then think about what is one to do that I can do to kind of support that. So, for example, I honor my resilience, embracing each moment with courage and grace. Breath work is what I wrote to tie into that, because it's going to help me to like stay present and spend time with myself and kind of do that grounding. My ability to nurture myself, grow stronger every day, allowing me peace and clarity. Replenish. I have a replenishment tracker that I change my mood tracker into. So it's just one activity that I do for myself each day that kind of fills up my cup. So that's going to support that. And then find balance and harmony within, nurturing my mind, body, and spirit with intention. Cooking, especially like getting to cook without any kind of pressure of needing to get like dinner ready by a certain time and just being able to kind of play in the kitchen is another thing that really like fills up my cup. And so I'm going to try a new recipe this week. So that is kind of how I set mine up. And then I have just these running to-dos that like I'm not going to do them anytime soon. But if I don't write them down, I will like forget about them for 4 or 5 months and then they like won't ever get done. So so that's kind of where I keep the running list of to-dos there. Here are some other examples of how people have decided to kind of mirror these sections together. I really like the one in like the center left where they've got mind, body, and heart is like 3 areas of focus for their major three. And then they've kind of made little mini bingos with 3 actions to support those areas of focus over there as well. But you do not have to pair these together. You can keep them separate. When you're thinking about your to-do list, if you have a really busy week ahead, you probably already know we like the Eisenhower matrix here. It can really help you to determine what's actually urgent and important and needs to happen this week versus maybe what can wait another week. And sometimes when we look at delegating, sometimes you are the person you're delegating to. It's just like a future version of yourself, but it may be something that doesn't have to be done right this second, right now. I know that fellow facilitator Katie has talked too about how sometimes she delegates to like the like services. So like if dinner needs to be delegated, sometimes she delegates that to DoorDash, right? So sometimes it looks like getting creative if you don't have a ton of extra actual humans you can delegate to in your household. If you're like me and you struggle with executive dysfunction, the Pomodoro technique can be super helpful for getting some of those things done. You set a timer for 25 minutes and you agree to work on the task for 25 minutes. Then, when it's up, you record your progress, start the timer again if you feel like you can continue working on it. Or if you're just like, you know what, today is not the day, it's not happening, then that's fine. You agreed to work on it for 25 minutes, you can come back to it another time. But I know for me, most of the time, once I actually get up and get started on the task, I have no trouble like continuing it and finishing it. It's just that getting started part that's really hard. Maybe I need to set a Pomodoro timer for getting out of bed in the morning when it's cold. I don't know if it works that way, but I could try it. I'll let you guys know. You can also do a to-do list instead of a to-do list. So just kind of flipping the mindset on that, instead of writing out everything you need to get done, you write out things as you do them. And then at the end of the week, you can kind of see, oh my gosh, look at all these things I got done. You can, of course, use it as a traditional to-do list or turn that to-do into bingos. You can do a need, want, hope list or a to-be list. Again, here are some bingos. If you have anything fun going on this week too, like if it's your birthday or if you have like a cool event or, something going on, not this week, but I guess next week will be Halloween, which is crazy to think about. So maybe you want to do a Halloween bingo, or if it's your birthday, maybe you want to do a birthday bingo. Don't be afraid to like customize it to whatever's going on in your life. As always, you can focus on different routines or you can throw a sticker in anywhere. We love stickers here at Silk and Sonder. Stickers and bingos, two of our favorites, right? Like our right hand gals, stickers and bingo. If you are going to set out actual goals, commitments, accountability, something to think about, maybe to list out your why of why you're setting that intention. I think that mirroring my like 3 main intentions with those affirmations has helped me a lot because the affirmations themselves are kind of my why. But we have a lot of research and stuff that shows us that when we write out why we're setting a goal, it helps us to stick to it a little bit better. So something to think about. And then as always, if you're like, and this section isn't working for me, I don't like to really focus on to-dos too much, like I'm not a productivity person, that's totally fine. change these into something completely different. If you are leaning into that spooky season vibe, maybe you have like some movies and TV shows you want to go through. I can't watch a lot of that stuff because I'm a little baby and I get nightmares. But my husband loves spooky season stuff, so he's got a whole list of movies and stuff he's trying to get through. But you can also change it into quotes, or maybe this is where you leave space to do some of your like daily ritual writing and stuff like that. Whatever this space needs to be for you, we want you to feel empowered and know that you have the permission to make it whatever it is that you need. So I'll put on some music for you all to think about these sections. Please share with us how you're setting them up, how this is working for you, and then we'll move into our next sections together. hopefully you figured out how you want to tackle these pages, or not pages, I guess sections of the page. My brain is doing all kinds of crazy stuff with pages today. But we're going to hop down to the bottom of the page with our habits and activities section, or habities, as a lot of you like to call them. So I've changed this section to breath work. That is something else that comes from the Silk and Sonder Life Coach, that it kind of gives me each week as breath work. And if I put it front and center here where I can actually see it, then it helps me actually do it, because my journal goes with me everywhere. So that has been what I've been using this section for here. But of course, you can use this however you need to. If you have a monthly goal on like your monthly habit wheel that is going really well, maybe there's an opportunity to like stretch that goal a little bit here. So the example that I use a lot is like, let's say that you decided you wanted to walk 5,000 steps a day. That's going really well. You've been hitting that no problem. So now maybe on this weekly section here, you want to try to walk 7,000 steps a day and shoot for a little bit higher goal there, for like 3 days this week, and see if that's attainable or how that goes for you. Likewise, if there's a goal that you're struggling with, like maybe you decided, I'm going to drink 100 ounces of water a day, and like it is just not happening, girl, right? So maybe instead, for a few days or for a whole week, you want to focus on just getting 50 ounces and start a little bit smaller, and so you can work up to that larger goal. You can also use this for setting like new routines. I have done that before and it was really helpful with that. Or you can kind of use it almost as like a to-dos, right? Like there's habits and there's activities or habities, and then there's also to-dos. And sometimes you can write this as a to-do list and like check it off, especially if it's something you want to do each day. I know that kind of sounds like a habit, but sometimes there are like temporary things in our lives that we have to do each day, right? Especially with the changing of the seasons. Sometimes we kind of need to get homes and things ready for that seasonal change for a short period of time, but we don't want to do it every day for the whole month. You can set an actual goal of how often you want to do something, or you can just track it as you go. I know a lot of you all use this to make sure that you're checking in with different parts of your journal as well. So, checking in with the gratitude log, making sure you're filling out those trackers in the front of the journal. Are you doing a daily rosebud and thorn, or are you doing a daily ritual, right? Just making sure you're not missing out on that time with yourself. This can also be a great place to look at like boundary setting. So not only, oh, these are things I want to build and what to do and etc., but also things maybe you want to do less of, right? And thinking of it from that perspective. There's also some fun little activities there of like a daily check-in that you could write here. And then we are fully in fall. So if there are any fun fall activities and things you want to plug in here, that can be a good spot to do it. And then a couple weeks ago on Sonder Club, somebody had shared that they were using this for symptom tracking. They had kind of been down with something and they were having some lingering symptoms. So they were kind of tracking those. So not something they track consistently, like month to month or anything like that, but something temporary. And I thought that that was also a really creative use of this space. So I will hop between these slides for you all. Please let us know how you make this work for you. And then we will move on to our next section. Okay, we are flipping over to page 47 now, starting with the section titled Meal Plan. Now, this gets repurposed a lot, not because having a meal plan is a bad thing, but just because there are a lot of other things people use for that these days. And this takes up a lot of space or real estate, as I like to say, in your journal. So, because of that, we have folks that repurpose this for all sorts of things. But if you are using it as a meal plan, that is fantastic. Or if you're using it to like track meals or anything like that, this is a great space to do that. For me, I track my work meetings here. It kind of helps me to have like my personal to-dos and commitments on the left-hand side in that to-do section, and then like my work like meetings and commitments and stuff over on the right, and make sure I don't double book myself. It has saved my tail a time or two. So that's kind of what I'm doing. It's continuing to work for me and having it just helps me to have an idea of like what's going on from a meeting perspective at the beginning of each week. But I don't work on Saturdays and Sundays, so those spaces were a little bit more blank. So that's where I put the journal prompts that I get from the Life Coach program. So again, I don't forget about them because otherwise I will. So having them there gives me a chance to kind of make sure I actually respond to those. And even if I don't get an opportunity to actually put pen to paper, like that's my favorite way to journal. I think that's the most impactful for me. But even having time to just like think about these in like a 5 minute break at work and kind of like ruminate on them and spend some time thinking about them in my brain is better than not doing them at all. So sometimes that's what it looks like, and that's okay too. There are all kinds of examples here up on the screen and some suggestions about how you can repurpose this if that is your journey. I really love the one in the center of this week. I learned, created, loved, remembered, and accomplished because it's kind of like a great check-in. It's kind of like a build your own little journal prompt, if you will, for the end of each week to kind of reflect. Affirmations is a really popular thing to do here. I know a lot of people are doing like different quotes and things here as well. I love this little ghosty sticker. He's so cute. And I love all these little alliteration ideas of Mindfulness Monday, Tech Free Tuesday, Wonder Wednesday, etc. You've got a victory inventory here. So like if you are kind of like feeling, kind of like a me mood or kind of more down in the dumps, you can kind of write some like wins here for yourself to refer back to help like give you a quick like pick me up. There is food for the soul here, a mental release to-do list, those to-dos that maybe aren't urgent, right? So maybe they didn't go on that to-do side, but if you do have time to do them, they're going to make you feel so much better. I know that when the kitchen is clean, the impact it has on my mood is crazy. So sometimes it's worth it for me to just get in there, and it never takes as long as I think it's going to take, and just get that done because it will make me feel so much better. Also, some people will put their to-dos over here and then they do something else with the to-do section. So again, feel free to make this yours. If you need to move things around, change them up, we want you to feel empowered to do whatever is most important to you. So again, I'll put on some music for you and then we'll move into our next section. Okay. So the last few sections we have here are our mind body health plan and then the shopping list. So I've also combined these together because this is another trend that I've started seeing where people are combining these together or they're like using these spaces interchangeably. Like some people will do a bingo in the mind body health plan like I do. Some people will put that in their shopping list area. So it's kind of getting used in similar spaces. So I've been combining them in setups. So I always do like a little self-care bingo for my mind, body, health. And then I use my shopping list as intended. It's stuff that I need to buy. Sometimes it's groceries I keep forgetting, like condiments and back stock and stuff like that. Like, oh my gosh, I've forgotten to buy ranch 3 weeks in a row because I didn't write it down in my journal. If I write it down in my journal, I don't forget. And then other things that like I want to buy or need to buy, but like not immediately, but I don't want to forget about them because, again, I have a tendency to do that. So having a place where they can sit keeps me from impulse buying as well. But here are some other examples of how people have used this here. I think Stephanie had shared previously that they were turning their mind body health plan into an adventure plan to plan their solo adventures around the city. I think that is a fantastic way to really spend time with yourself and check in throughout the week and do something fun. There are 7 types of rest. So when you're thinking about filling your cup back up, think about what you may need as far as that goes. You do not have to hit the 7 types of rest like a bingo. It's really just checking in with yourself and asking, is there an area or two where I don't feel like I've been replenishing my energy in this section as much? And if so, maybe you want to carve out some time for that this week. You can do a T chart of what you feel in need. Do kind of a check in of how you are nourishing yourself throughout the week. I love this grocery list with the flowers. It's super cute because it's still a grocery list, but it's fun. I keep forgetting to do that. One of these days, you see, it took me a long time to combine the other 2 sections. And like 3 months from now, I'm going to be like, guys, I finally made a cute shopping list. And then here are some other ideas of ways you can repurpose these sections or make them work for you. Please let us know how you like to use these, and then I'll flip through these slides as we get ready to wrap up our time together here. Well, if you can believe it, that's going to wrap up our time together. We do still have the I am loving section in the very bottom right corner, but I know many of you fill this out at the end of the week. So if you feel able to share with us an I am loving for this moment, please feel free to drop it in the chat. For me, I am loving our home being so tidy. One like silver lining of the husband being out of work currently is that he tidies all day long when he's here, and it is magical. So while I am ready for him to have employment again, and that will be a great day when that happens, in the meantime, I am enjoying a very tidy home. If you feel comfortable sharing your planner on Sonder Club, we would love to see pictures of how you set everything up so that we can maybe feature some of those examples in future socials. As always, we are doing the Refer a Friend program. You get $10 off, they get $10 off, and then hopefully you could come to socials together. We would love to have you both here. If you're not already an annual subscriber, just something to consider. You do have to pay the full fee up front, so something else to consider. But especially with those like various holidays and things coming up, maybe that's what you want to add to your wish list because it can save you some money in the long run. Please fill out the survey and let us know what you thought of the social. And Maya's popping all of these links in the chat as well, along with our YouTube link where the recording of this social and most of our others will be available within a few business days of the event. I will pop the link to this playlist in the chat for you all. Feel free to grab songs from it, listen to it, whatever makes you happy. And then, yeah, it always goes by so fast when we are together. I think my coffee is finally kicking in and making my brain move faster than my mouth, but it always goes so fast when we spend time together. It's the fastest hour ever, but it's also some of the best hours ever. So thank you all for being here and spending time with us this morning. We hope you feel ready for the week ahead. Until next time, we'll see you in Sonder Club. Be good to each other.
My skin is glowing, my energy is flowing, confidence growing, glow up is loading. When I look in the mirror, I see everything I want and everything I can ever need. I attract success, success I achieved. I attracted beauty and I turned into a queen. I dropped all the drama, the focus on me. Let go of what hurt me, the things that no longer serve me. I made myself top priority. I let go of the past that crossed over that bridge. Started loving myself, love the life